COVID-19 hit our country really hard and fairly fast. There was no time to prepare, and from one day to the next, this country found itself in a situation that was unforeseen. With this new situation, everyone in our community has been affected somehow, and many are facing struggles close to home. When it comes to school, families and educators need to work together now more than ever. Every student is capable of achieving great things. In order to give students all the tools that they need to succeed, families and schools need to come together as partners in education. This partnership can come in many different forms. While something as small as a potluck or the PTA could count as engagement, the best type of partnership is one founded on the needs of the individual student. How is the student succeeding? How is the student struggling? In what ways can we work together as families and educators to help the student claim their strengths and work on their weaknesses? The ecological systems theory describes the different levels of interactions that affect a child's life. The first level of the theory is the microsystem, which are the immediate contexts in which the child interacts. For example, adults who nurture and teach children, peers and siblings who play and socialize with them, settings where children learn, such as child care centers, homes, and schools.
The next level is the mesosystem, which are the interactions that make up the microsystem and the interactions between parents and teachers. This could also include a child's home, child care centers, after-school programs, and/or child schools. The next level is the ecosystem, which consists of indirect external influences on a child's development. This could include workplaces that might institute new work schedules that interfere with parents' abilities to reach their children each night and affect their children's literacy achievements.
After the ecosystem, we have the macrosystem, which is composed of political systems, social policy, culture, economic trends, and much more. Things such as welfare reform can impact families because it changes the conditions under which parents receive support in order to help them provide and care for their children. Finally, there is the chronosystem, which is how all of these systems impact each other across time. We can think of infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood in each of these sections. And overall, declining earnings for low and medium skilled workers and a growing precariousness of employment. There are a few different ways to look at how students are motivated to learn. The first is reinforcement theory. This is the idea that students become motivated when their actions are reinforced, either by rewarding good behavior or punishing bad behavior. Social cognitive theory depends on students' long-term beliefs, values, expectations, emotions, and more. Students become motivated when their expectations for rewards or punishments are in line with their values, as opposed to simply the rewards themselves. While external rewards and punishments can be motivating, a better motivator for learning comes down to how a student feels inside. Intrinsic motivation is when a student does something simply because they find it enjoyable. The behavior is the reward. Students are much more inclined to be engaged in their learning if they have competence, control, and connection. Competence, meaning they feel like they are capable of doing it. Control, in that they get to choose how they do their own learning. And connection between each other, their families, and their teachers. Learning about a new school system and finding ways to get engaged can be challenging. There are steps to involvement that are important to know. What is the end goal in terms of family engagement for immigrant families? What stage are you in? A cultural survivor? A cultural learner, a cultural connector, or a cultural leader? what can you do to make it to the next stage? Cultural survivors are those who are new to the country and struggle to get involved due to work and family obligations, as well as dealing with a culture and language barrier. Cultural learners are those who have become accustomed to life in this country and working with the school system. They are more likely to begin engaging in more school activities with the help of interpreters. Cultural connectors are those who are engaged in the school and encourage other families to be engaged. They participate and are familiar with school policies and procedures. Cultural leaders are those in the community who take charge and become a leader in the community to help bridge the gap between the school and the community. As Crosby states, more than 25% of children encounter physically, sexually, or emotionally abusive experiences that are perceived as traumatizing. Some youth populations, such as youths of color, of lower socioeconomic status, and those in the foster care or juvenile justice systems, are at even greater risk. It's important for educators to realize that all students come from different walks of life, and that their problems do not go away the second they walk into the school. It's important for families and teachers to work together to bridge this gap and share information that might help to support students through different hardships that they face. How can families and educators work together to support students who have trauma? When we work together as families and educators, we are able to make a great difference in the lives of our students.